No, you can come up and talk again. This is a whole new, fresh thing. So the reference to anybody talking and amending statements is just a red herring. Kind of like the education that you got from the commissioner who didn't hear a goddamn word any of us said.
Thanks, Commissioner Finkelday.
Motion.
And before we start discussion, perhaps take a break.
Okay.
And, I just want clarity. When we come back for break, we're doing discussion on just revenue neutral.
Revenue neutral. Revenue neutral. Because we're going to have another, since it's outlined here, we're going to have another public hearing. Yeah, for budget. So it's just going to be on revenue neutral.
Yes. I need a break.
Okay. 10 minutes?
Yeah, because we'll probably take it up.
All right.
Yeah.
Be back at 7:47. And then I will open the public hearing and public comment on the 2025 budget. I would preface as well, I know a bunch of folks have come up here and talked before. If you want to go ahead and amend anything you want to go ahead and say, feel free to, but also feel free to, if you want to let your previous statement stand, do so as well. So.
Round 2.
No, you can come up and talk again. This is a whole new, fresh thing. So the reference to anybody talking and amending statements is just a red herring. Kind of like the education that you got from the commissioner who didn't hear a goddamn word any of us said.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring us back, and then up here for discussion.
Now, next action, we decide where we go from there, but this is the first step under the revenue neutral law. So I'll support that motion, and then later we can talk about where we end up between 30 and whatever we end up at.
I've shared this several times since I've been on the commission, and it started when I decided to run for office. I knew that there were two things that would, as a commissioner and as representing this community, that I knew that not only I would struggle with initially to be able to interpret, but with the goal of being able to make sure that my community was informed of the laws that govern them. And one has to do with revenue neutral rate, and the other one has to do with our local ad valorem tax reduction.
We're fucking broke, Amber. Your city is having people leave. They're having their sons and daughters move out because they can't afford a fucking house here. The first starter house that we moved into, $120,000. That's a starter house. That damned house is $240,000 now, Amber sellers. I appreciate your education on telling us all about why we were just completely fucking wrong about revenue neutral.
The revenue neutral rate in our state is literally just a smoke and mirrors that was instituted by the Kansas legislature to deny us of our ad valorem tax. And it is a way of forcing, and I say forcing, not by interpretation, but by intent, forcing municipal governments to make cuts in places that they may or may not want to make cuts at the time. It is a preemption bill. It is a preemption law. It literally ties the hands of your municipal government to govern the way that it would like to govern. Cuts do need to be made. Revenue neutral is a made-up word. What you pay last year is never going to be what you pay in the preceding year. Revenue neutral was created to essentially preempt local governments from being able to decide how to make budget adjustments.
I appreciate your know-it-all fucking attitude, going to try to educate angry taxpayers and tell us we're all wrong, that revenue neutral is just something lost up in the legislature and it has to do with the ad valorem tax and all that. We don't care. Ad valorem hasn't been here for how long now? You said it yourself. What year? 2003, wasn't it?
This was stopped in 2003. It began in 1937.
It's not a discussion that we're having tonight, but I appreciate you distracting from things. Is that what you needed your break for, was to finalize the thoughts you'd been preparing for the whole meeting?
Thanks. Thanks, Commissioner Finkelstein.
Motion.
And
Before we start discussion, perhaps take a break.
Okay.
And, I just want clarity, when we come back for break, we're doing discussion on
Yes.
just revenue neutral.
Revenue neutral.
or-
Revenue neutral.
Because you weren't paying attention to all the people, only certain ones. Nod your head, yes, that's right. Yes, you weren't paying attention to everybody because you have your priorities, but you're going to get voted out because you offend people when you come up here and you try to act like we don't understand. We do understand. We run our own budgets at home. Many people told you this. We don't have the opportunity to say, hey, boss, I got an overrun this much, going to need ad valorem money.
Who's that? It's my landlord, Pearl. I'm really late on my rent.
Oh, I'm getting out of here, man. She's nasty.
No, please. I need to stay. Hi, Pearl. You don't have to raise your voice.
You pay you!
I can give you half.
You pay no, bitch!
That's not our option.
You know, sometimes I do part-time jobs for extra cash. Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
That's your option, though, and you just take it from us.
Business bad? Fuck you, pay me. Oh, you had a fire? Fuck you, pay me. Place got hit by lightning, huh? Fuck you, pay me.
All 5 of you over there, 5-0 to raise our revenue neutral rate. All 5. I want everybody to remember that. It was all 5 of them. Not just 1 or 2. But your little move trying to educate people that are angry, you pissed people off doing that. And I hope they remember that when it comes time to vote next time when you're on the ballot. Because that's a smack in the fucking face to the taxpayers that put you in office. When you come up and you talk like that, like we don't know how to add money, and you just be quiet. No. You Bart, shut him up. Give him a warning.
Sir.
How about you shut up?
Let him continue to speak.
How about you shut up?
Throw him out, Bart.
Throw him out.
Continue to speak.
That's what you do with us. The guy interrupted me. Well, throw him out. He's still interrupted. Throw him out.
Sir.
Get the fuck out.
Please.
If you don't like it.
My apologies, sir.
I am being civil to people who are taking our fucking tax money. Shut up. That is stupid. That kind of shit can happen and he doesn't get thrown out. Fuck you, Bart.
I feel like you had that break just so you could calm everybody down and you guys wouldn't feel what we were feeling. Like we just poured our hearts out to you about taxes. You guys don't even care. You had your minds made up. Us coming up here and talking, it don't mean shit because you already made up your minds. You weren't going to change anything. It's disgusting. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. I said it before. It's a disgrace. You're a rhino. You never vote where you're supposed to vote.
And worse yet, Michael, sounded like she was reading it from Wikipedia.
The money comes from the sales tax collected in the state. It's agreed to shared upon amount to reduce the reliance on property sales tax and to pay for such services as police and fire protection, parks, streets, jails, elections, and many other services county governments are required to provide.
Complete with the page was loading and she had to stop because she couldn't do it off the top of her head because she has no idea what she's talking about.
The intent of that money was to do the following. Sorry.
Clear as day. And for those of you that aren't familiar with coming to these meetings or paying attention to these meetings, that's Amber Sellers. It's called lacking self-awareness. She thinks she's smarter than she actually is. And so when she talks, she thinks she's smarter than she is, but everybody can see how much of a moron she is. And so you have a room full of people that are highly educated, and you sat up there and insulted our intelligence with a weak Wikipedia entry level discussion. Couldn't even come off the top of your head off of any of this stuff. Talk about insulting, lacking self-awareness. And I agree. Hopefully, hopefully people here in town start to realize and wake up a little bit and vote. It's almost like Democrats like to tax and spend. Who would have thought? You know, you have a 5-person commission up there who are all Democrats. I don't know why you call yourself a Republican there, Finkeldye, who are all Democrats and are going to tax and spend and not give a shit about your guys' problems at all. And yeah, they took a break right after, as Amy just said. Completely disrespectful. The emotion was running really high in here, and you take a break to go eat? Is that what it was? Could there be a bigger finger given to the citizens after that? And then Bart, I don't know what that was there, but if that was me, you would have had me arrested. Exactly. That guy gets to, you talk about disrupting the meeting and decorum. That's the definition of disrupting the meeting that gets me kicked out of here while speaking during my 3 minutes. But that guy can do what he just did, and it's perfectly fine. You know, like I said last week, it'll save you some money on this budget stuff if you'd stop getting into these lawsuits over First Amendment rights violations and bullshit like that right there. It's called a double standard. It's clear discrimination, who you favor and who you're against in here, clear as day, and that highlights it.
Very highly.
Hi, this is Chris Flowers, and I would like to amend my earlier statement. I guess I might have forgot stuff. I always say this around budget time, but let's get rid of the police dogs. Also, quit spending money on DUI checkpoints and the police saturations. I've said that before. And let's just, what are we spending on the war against drugs with our police? I say we spend as little as whatever the state and feds force us to. Like, we shouldn't be spending anything on the war against drugs. So I just want to throw that out there, and getting rid of those drug dogs, that's not spending money on the war against drugs. And I just want to, earlier it was mentioned that we have 5 Democrats, and that got me thinking when it comes to what we're spending on the homeless. Letting people camp doesn't cost that much, and I think it's cheaper than forcing people who want to camp. Then if we let them camp, wouldn't that be cheaper than forcing them into a shelter that we're spending money on? And I say that because we have 5 supposedly Dems, or 4, I don't know, we have a Rhino and we have the rest are Dems, I guess. But the Supreme Court decision said that it was divided by Dems and Republicans, and the Dems were like, oh, this is inhumane, we shouldn't be forcing people to stay awake or go to jail. So if we have all this Democrat commission, how come not one of you has voiced support for letting the homeless camp? And I'm saying that if we're talking about spending money on the homeless, why can't we let them camp? That doesn't cost much money, and it's cheaper than forcing the ones that want to camp, forcing them into city-run services. Thank you.
Hello, David Baston. I guess this was on the proposal of the sales tax increase. I know we like to do a lot of things around here where we lump a bunch of stuff into this or that, and I propose that if you are going to approve this for a vote, on for the people that you separate these two things and not lump them together into one fund. Just separate them into the temporary emergency shelter facilities and affordable tax. So just because some might be for one of them and maybe not for another, or they might be for both of them, but separate them so you can actually get a good vote instead of having several things wrap around. And people might approve this, but when it comes down to it, maybe 80, 90, 100% goes to one of those areas. I mean, you get to do what you want to with it once it's approved. So, but I ask that you do that. And going back to approving to exceeding revenue neutral rate, and it's pretty kind of disheartening. I'm sure it's going to work out the same way it did last year, where you guys just do what you want to do anyway, and just like you move public comment so the public can't actually hear the public comment, since you moved it to the end. I don't think you really want to hear what anybody's got to say, and you just do what you want to do anyway. So yeah, I'm really doubting whether I'll even be to any more public meetings, because I really don't think you even care. And I've seen how you treat some people as opposed to other people. Yeah, some of them don't speak like you want them to speak, or they call people names or whatever. They still have their 3 minutes, and you should let them have their 3 minutes. Man, it's just sad. I've lived here for 55 years, and I really don't even know what to say. Yeah, I guess once the next vote comes around, we'll see how you guys really, if you do care about what anybody says. It's looking like you really don't, so I guess we'll see, and then my money will go to vote against whoever does something I don't like. Thanks.
Thank you again. I just want to say I think it was a miracle that I finished in under 3 minutes. It took me a lot of practice in cutting stuff out. But I'm really sympathetic to the fact that you are trying to, we live in this world where everything is constantly expected to grow. We constantly are advocating for, cost of living increases, and so things are always expected to get larger, and the way that those funds come together is not always, it doesn't mesh exactly. And so I'm sympathetic to the fact that, these things go up just based on our economic system that we have in our country, which I have my own feelings about. But I just wanted to reiterate that I wouldn't come up here and make any of these emotional speeches or say anything like this for more pay or for new stations or anything. This is just the principle of this is that it's our safety, and it's just being used as leverage, and that. I get it. I get why, because otherwise, how else are you going to pass this stuff? That you're trying to do good work, you have good intentions, but the principle of it, it's just that this is the level of government where I feel like we're supposed to have the most impact, or I'm supposed to have at least it's where I have the most faith. I pay attention to what has happened in Topeka for, since I was in middle school with and then the federal government is very frustrating, and I just feel like I want to have more voice here, here where I can talk face to face with people, and when it feels like we come a month ago and bring this stuff up, and then it's just on the it doesn't ever get nipped in the bud. Nobody ever said, oh, or acknowledged our feelings or the fact that it's it's like just a reality of where we're at. So I just wanted to say, thank you. I don't mean to, get up here and blast hot air, but thanks.
Hi again, Jack Dolan. I just want to share some of the same frustrations that I'm hearing from everybody in here. It doesn't seem like we're being listened to, whatever the topic is. Along with that, you know, when you start off the presentation by blowing smoke, Craig's first point was market competitive pay. And through talks at a different table, we know that that's 100% a bold-faced lie. Bullet point number 2, we're not doing layoffs and we're not closing facilities. Okay, so we cut people through attrition. Maybe that might not be the textbook definition of a layoff, but that's cutting people. That's a layoff in my book. Closing facilities, maybe we didn't close Station 5, but we closed Engine 5. Whatever fancy words you want to use, you're blowing smoke to start the presentation, not listening to people. How can we have faith in this process? I think somebody said it earlier, like, I don't have the words to say. I guess I'm not mad, I'm disappointed would be the dad phrase. So please listen when people are talking. Please don't blow smoke up our ass. Thank you.
Jerry, any on Zoom?